Hi, this is Donna Vorreyer. Welcome to Bad Mouth Online in the Meantime reading series. I'd like to thank Rebecca Aronson for inviting me to read some poems to you tonight, and I'd like to thank you for being here to listen. I'm going to read you some poems this evening from my new sundress collection entitled To Everything There Is. And since I'm trying to read different poems from this book for every reading, I'm going to share with you poems tonight that all have animals in them in some way. So I'll start with a poem called Ash Wednesday. I exit a marked being, trying to beat back my animal with ceremony to learn the oblivion of belief. This mark says I am no slave to the snake, though I still ache to touch its tail. Each new century demands a resurrection, ashes to ashes, dust to whatever the heart is, a clock ticking its way toward some inevitable end, a torch that has only learned to burn what it loves. This poem is called Painting Which Is in Fact Not a Sky. What seems an empty scene is in fact a whistle in the valley, the call of three wild geese circling a lake. You can choose your own landscape. Just fold tab ash into tab blue and make a forest burning. Dab leaves into mountains. A crane standing in a green pond is memory. Watching that crane crash is in fact seeing its trajectory skyward, a normal departure. To avoid suffering, draw 3 pencil lines across the red ruled margin. Fold the paper into wings. Precision can still a storm. Use feathers to multiply and divide. For a blurred horizon line, insert a ragged branch. Brush in those 3 birds. Then add flowering cherry blossoms floating in an icy emptiness, which is the lake, which is, in fact, you. This is the title poem of the collection, and the title serves as also the first line of the poem. To everything there is. To everything there is a season of entrails, carcasses flattened unnatural on the tarmac in various stages of rot that tilt the dog's nose toward the desperate wreckage. Yards and gardens draw the fallen from the nearby preserve with its drought-drained lake, the frogs now dried to parchment silhouettes, the snakeskins coiled to survey their own innards. Worst is the young doe, dismembered and strewn on both sides of the lane divider, tempted by sweet leaves of hosta or bitter stalks of tomato plants. I don't know why I said worst, as if the other creatures deserved their deaths, but the deer have often jeweled my mornings with stillness, soft eyes, quick and muscled limbs, given me a bit of peace in those first waking moments at the window. So it seems worse, and my nurturing bones ache to see that baby's head severed from its torso. The reptiles are never removed. Their skins turn to paper or leaf, crumbling and dispersed by wind. Small mammals lying long enough to become pungent. So I must not be the only one troubled by this, because the fawn is gone by the time I drive back home, her body scraped from the pavement by someone who loved her white-spotted flank and her lush eyelashes. This is what I tell myself, though I am well aware of reality, because I need to believe that someone will transport the wreck of me to rest with tenderness, that I will be remembered as something beautiful. This poem is called Last Rites. There was a fox inside her sleep whose howl frightened the moon and stars to dimming. I turned on every light, but the room remained dark, and her bones shivered at the barking. Startled wrens beat their wings beneath her eyelids. I could not reach her. I was alone in everything then. Even her breath went roadkill rotten, and with it, so did my heart. A bell rang, and she could not hear it in her sadness. The fox appeared at the door with a bone in its mouth, her breath a dimming star, and me alone with the dark. I knew I could not keep her, and my heart was a wren's unremarkable song. Her dreaming cracked like a bone in a door. One night the bells stopped ringing. Now the fox is a ghost of her, pointed face like the tip of a heart, tail white as bone. I could not keep her. Tell me, what moon, what stars could I have conjured, what light, to brighten all her troubled sleep? Let's read two more. This one is called Intruders. Living with mice in the walls, one knows the haunting. The sound of footfalls that increases with the dark, the skittering between stud and lathe, frightening the house to waking. They rest when I am restless, then the moment I drift off, their bodies fly again. My brain is the same. Insomnia projecting its slideshow, shit show of failings on a loop as a spider swings hypnotic just above my head. Regret runs through me until my veins are lined with insect itch and crawl. Spiders, mice, remorse. The body recoils against all three. But unlike mouse or spider, there is no humane way to extricate frailties. I cannot lead them onto a piece of paper and release them out the back door, or offer them peanut butter or cheese as entry to a catch and release trap. It's not that easy. This morning I sat on the porch as a hummingbird sipped a trumpet flower, peaceful and perpetual, never at rest, a gift my ghosts inherited. There are no rules for the dead, no maps. I turn and there they are, climbing the walls with the clematis, their whispered diction spidering my sleep. We are a family, one web, one nest, a congress of ghosts. I lied, I'm actually going to read two more now. One with frogs, unfortunately dead frogs again, and then one with very alive animals. This one's called Lessons About Light. 5 dead frogs appear in the first mile of my run, squashed flat and dried in the sun. I don't pretend to understand death or resurrection, both beyond my reason, but I hope they didn't die in the dark. I want to lasso the sun and drag it down to my deathbed. A lament become a lantern. Not the heat of the desert, but of dreaming, flushed and lusty. I taste salt in my sleep, lick my lips. Unspell grief. Unspell dying. Give me anagrams. Deifying. Edifying. Give me those frogs. Simple. Gone. Give me this long hot run. Panting in the dying light. And the last poem I'm going to read is one of the love poems in the book, because even in a book that's mostly elegy, there has to be some relief, and that relief that we get comes from love. So this poem does not have an animal in it, I don't think. No, it's the only one that does not have an animal in it. And it's called When You See Us Not Talking at the Restaurant, Do Not Make Assumptions About Us. Because we always verge on silence, mere exhalations, short sentiments punctuating the evening air. This is not failure, but patience. We vibrate on the same frequency, sense each subtle shift to know if speech is needed. Who decided that the tongue's machinations were the best proof of love? Better that my skull shivers just before you reach for me. Better that your hand taps out constellations on my palm. We whittle away barriers by touch, not rhetoric. Our diorama isn't wired for sound. Our chosen words levitate, enshrined in cartoon speech balloons. We have not skirted the issues. We have clothed them instead in violet night. Our words lanterns, not flashlights. Sea glass, not the sea. Thank you.